Hi guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Anime Podcasters. I'm your host, Hotshot Ginger, and with me I have my roommate and really the only one who actually wants to be around me on this podcast anymore, GoProKyo. How's it going, buddy?
Hi. Hello. I haven't seen people in ages.
Yeah, I lock him in the cellar where he belongs. Don't worry, I send him a head of lettuce every week. Anyway.
I haven't been out in months.
Well, I've been feeding...
I forget what the sun smells like.
I've been feeding you lettuce, so you're fine.
I am incredibly malnourished.
The sun smells like sunshine. It's really not that amazing. Anyway, guys, today's a me and Kyo episode. So it's just us, no Cheyenne, no Murel, just us shooting back our bullshit back and forth, just like old times before Jaden. You know, the good old days.
The good old days. Cheyenne and I started the podcast.
Yeah, I mean before we started recording. Again, the good old days.
Oh.
So,
yeah, if that didn't signal to anybody that he wants the podcast to die, I don't know what does.
I don't want it to die. I just want it to end. There's a difference. Anyway, guys.
But yeah, I guess we're doing a Pantsu cast styled episode. We're not doing anything that would be considered inappropriate necessarily. We're covering who are reincarnated as a slime today.
Yep. Just for a note, guys, we are only covering the first season because that is the only season that both of us have completely finished, as well as the OVAs. The season 2 is out and dubbed and everything else. We have full opportunity to watch it. We just haven't. We're in the process of it. We haven't watched all of it yet, and we're
about 5-6 episodes in,
roughly. Yeah, we're about halfway through the first half. And
yeah, so stuff's actually starting to happen now.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we're getting a Reincarnated as a Slime movie in the works.
Yeah.
And then also down the future line is Slime Season 3. So now it seemed like an appropriate time to start talking about it.
Yeah, just now when it's 3 seasons in and a movie's coming.
Oh, yeah, but... I'm slow. We all know this. It was my fault.
That we're both slow. We're really bad about watching stuff while it's out. But there's also the fact that unless it's a simulcast where they're dubbing it as it's coming out, then we're probably not going to be able to keep up with it.
Yeah, and I know we'll probably make you guys mad, but you should know this already. Me and Kyo are dubbers, so sue us. That's just how we decide to watch it.
Yeah. I feel like a Pantsu cast episode on sub versus dub is, or at least our opinions on the whole matter is due at some point.
Yeah, well,
really, a new episode of Pantsu cast is due regardless.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. So anyway, guys, if you don't know anything about that time I was reincarnated as a slime, it literally is just a guy reincarnated as a slime in a RPG style fantasy world where he dies in his world and is isekai to another one, resurrected as a slime, and just his journey going from the lowest level monster to one of the world's most renowned leaders. It's kind of amazing. And Kyo was actually the first one to point this one out to me because it is an isekai, and I've recently found out a lot of my favorite anime actually are isekais. I just love the idea of being transported to another world when you have the knowledge of yours and everything like that. But it's also in a RPG style setting. So there's a lot of game references. There's a lot of talks about skills or level up and stuff like that. One of the first things that Rimuru says is, I'm not such a bad slime, slurp, which is directly from Dragon Quest. And it's just full of references like that, and I'm a total sucker for stuff like that. And it honestly, I love it. It has snuck its way into my top 10 anime of all time. I don't know where, but it is in there.
Really, I like the fact that the show is not or you say that the show references RPGs quite a bit. I feel like the writing is especially inspired by that because, also, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, spoilers as per usual, we're going to go in depth into the whole first season. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you want to be convinced into watching it, just go watch it if you like JRPG stuff or fantasy or isekai. You'll probably like it. It's a really big one right now.
Or just take my word for it. It's good. Go spend your time watching it.
Yeah. Nobody trusts your opinion, though.
No, I know that's fair, but I can hope. The one fan we have that's listening just takes my word for it and actually has a good time.
Yeah, just
the other 95 just take my word for it and say, wow, his taste is crap.
But like I was saying, the writing is so steeped in it. Like one of the main plot elements is the concept of naming, which is really, really clever when you realize that if you go through a game and a lot of your enemies are just named like the species that they are, that makes and then you correlate that with the show. The show has the same kind of idea where, like, if there's a bunch of these characters or NPCs, if you will, that don't have a name, it's kind of in reference to that, and it's kind of drawing from the idea that if you give a nothing monster a name, it becomes like a special monster. So, like, if you, for example, like in Skyrim, there are animals or enemies that have names, and they're usually stronger, but the whole idea behind it is that in Reincarnated as a Slime is that because they have the name gives them power.
That's actually how it is in, like, again, it goes back to Dragon Quest, because when you're fighting enemies in there, like, if you're fighting multiple slimes, it'll be slime A, B, and C, but then you'll get a mission from somewhere, go, like, kill Gary the Slime, and he's, like, a mini-boss. There's no actual Gary the Slime, but the fact that he has a name, you're like, oh, this dude means business. And it's kind of amazing the fact that Rimuru doesn't actually know this going into the world, because when he comes back, he just thinks he's his original self. Like, he doesn't even realize he's a slime until a few minutes in. And then he is given the name Rimuru Tempest by an ancient frozen sealed dragon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The dragon had a name.
I can't Ranga, I think. No, not Ranga. That's the wolf.
That's the wolf, man.
I can't remember the name of the storm dragon, but he's the one who gives Rimuru the name Rimuru Tempest. And
crap, why can't I remember it either?
And then since he's a named slime, he is nigh unstoppable. And then he eats the dragon. Rimuru is, if you guys don't know, Rimuru is kind of like Kirby in a way, where select enemies he can ingest with a skill called Predator and copy their abilities and make them his own. It's kind of amazing. He has a mimic ability from a slime, so he can take the form of whatever he consumes or just straight up use the skills for whatever he consumes. And I love mimic stuff like that. Like, Changeling is one of my favorite classes in D&D, like shapeshifters, stuff like that. Able to mimic deception, stuff like this. It's honestly one of my favorite things in fantasy in general. It's just shape-shifting and copying.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
So after the fact that the dragon names Rimuru continues on through the cave that he's in and comes across monsters of various skills. Like, he gets a water slash ability, a sticky web ability, armor hardening ability, and he uses all of these later and just keeps them kind of under his hat because his magic pool is apparently endless. Eventually, he finally makes his way to a lowly goblin village and defends it from a pack of direwolves, defeats the direwolves and turns the goblins and the wolves into friends, and names all of them. And the head honcho, the goblin tribe that started as like this scrawny, weak, timid old man, like think Master Roshi, but not powerful at all. And then imagine buffed out Roshi just all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I see what you mean. I hadn't made that connection.
It was the first one I could think of, if I'm being totally honest.
No, it's good. It's good.
But it totally tracks.
I like it. Yeah, it makes sense.
So, I mean, if that doesn't tell you that names mean everything in this world, I really don't know what does. Like, yeah. But the thing is, Rimuru names like almost everyone he comes across that doesn't have a name. And giving someone that much magical power drains you quick. Like, he spends the entire rest of the day naming the rest of the Goblin Village, and he had to spend 3 days passed out.
Yeah.
And then journeys continue from there. The goblins take Rimuru on as the leader of their nation, or the leader of their tribe, which slowly grows as Rimuru expands into the world, like going to the Dwarven Kingdom, going to the Human Kingdom, defending the woods, getting allies in there. And he just goes all over the place. And what starts as like this little, like maybe 10 tent little colony of goblins becomes a full-on freaking nation. And there's from where we are in season 1, there's talks of it being like the center trade station of the nation. Not bad for somewhere that started off as a tent.
So from where we are in the show, we're just now getting to a point where things are ramping up into supposedly a war-like scenario. So like if you guys get through season 1, I will say season 1 is a little slow if you're really looking for something with a lot of action. There's not that much action until like the latter the second half of the season, would you say? Like
I'd say roughly like there's
what was it, like 8 episodes in, I think, when something actually really big happens?
I'd say roughly, yeah, but up until that point they're spending the time like world building and establishing the rules and everything of their society and their realm. So it's like almost every race is divided to themselves. Names are the ones that grant power. Monsters are seen as hideous creatures to be slain by humans, especially early adventurers, and so on and so forth. So the fact that monsters are seen as like this low-level grind fest, like they are in an early RPG, and then Rimuru turns that all around on its head and saying, "No, we're friendly monsters." Which in certain RPGs there are friendly monsters. But a lot of the times you don't think about that and just go in and slaughter every slime you see.
It kind of has that sort of Undertale mentality of like turning your expectations on their head, of like the monsters having personalities and feelings and just sentience in general.
Like, for instance, when we first meet this is a little bit into season 1, when we first meet the Onis, the Oni siblings. All that's on their mind is just revenge over the one who burned down their village and killed everyone. But after Rimuru faces them and shows them his power, he awards them with names, and they forever join his cause and become like his most trusted advisors and closest friends in the village. Like especially Shion, who started as like this total feral looking primal princess that would maul you into the ground as soon as you sneeze, into like the most hardcore loyal secretary kind of character to Rimuru especially.
You know, Shion's not the princess, right?
No, I know, but okay. So I know Shizu's not Shizu.
Shuna?
Thank you. Brain fart. I know Shuna actually is the only princess and does evolve, but it's just the fact that how Shion looked at first. Like, she looked like a warrior princess, kind of. Like a warrior primal princess.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And then just turns into a full-on secretary for Rimuru. If you can't think of a tone jump, that I don't know what a tone jump is if that isn't one.
I mean, yeah.
Funny enough, though, the leader of the Onis, the brother, I can't remember his name either. Damn.
Wow, he left an impression.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. He's strong and everything, but I can't remember his name. And I feel really bad.
I feel like I should have the Slime Wiki up on the side.
Probably. The fact that I only remember Shion's name by heart should probably tell you how I feel about it. But like he started as total feral and like fight first and like prove your worth to me in strength, and he's still kind of that way. But now he's willing to talk to you because of what Rimuru taught him. But he will still mow you down given the chance. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just funny to see how how different people can be, to go back to the name thing, how different they can be from when they start, and then the second that you say, oh, your name is Philip, and then they fully change personality and attacks, and everything about themselves just instantly shifts. But things aren't all fun and games in the land of Reincarnated as a Slime, because we also have bad guys. Because what would an anime be without bad guys? And I think like not the first major bad guy we come across, because she ends up being a friend, but when we first see Maline's power, and like someone that can actually stand toe to toe with Rimuru and his skill, and honestly would have killed Rimuru if he didn't do what he did. But that's still
you're talking about Malim.
Yeah. But that still plants the soils for like Malim is a demon lord, but it plants the seeds because she's being told to attack Rimuru by someone else. So there's a way bigger story going on here, and it does spend a lot of time ramping up and explaining to it and getting to that point, especially like now that we're in season 2, it is getting to that point. We just haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait.
Really, the first season spends a lot of time trying to get you invested in this world. And I think that the fact that it's like super laced with RPG DNA and I feel like it's very much written by somebody who played a lot of hours of like Dragon Quest or something and had a lot of ideas of like how to make that world a little more expansive, or how they would do a similar world. And I don't know. I think maybe the whole idea of it might have been just inspired by the slime, and the slime from Dragon Quest is already such an iconic character, especially like in Japan and especially outside of Japan.
Because slimes in general are seen as iconic monsters because they're in like every fantasy game, especially every JRPG. Like they're in Dragon Quest, they're in Neptunia, they're in. I think there's a version of them in Zelda somewhere too that you fight.
Really?
I think I could be remembering that completely wrong, but I think there is a form of slime you eventually fight in a Zelda game.
Oh, okay. Well, as somebody who's like never played a Zelda game, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, just take my word for it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll own that.
I'm sure people will let you know.
One thing that slightly did bother me, but I see why. But it did. Okay. Let me explain this step by step. When Rimuru was in the Dwarven Kingdom and got his fortune told, and was told about the hero that he was meant to soul bond with, and that would be with him forever. That was our introduction to Shizu. Mm-hmm. And when we first find Shizu, she's an awesome powerhouse. She has amazing fire abilities, sword wielding skills. Find out she's connected to the warrior or the hero of old, a direct protege from her, Mass Majin. Like, she has all this unique ties and everything to her. And then about 4 or 5 episodes after meeting her, she dies. Like, there's a whole lot of reasoning why, and it's explained really well in a good storytelling. But I've never seen an anime tell a main character, you're supposed to be with this person forever, and then that person dies.
Well, it's technically true because he does absorb her.
He does absorb her, and that's where his human form comes from, and he does look like a younger Shizu. So she is with him forever. He's even still like living up to her legacy as best as he can. But it's still a little fucked. And like you say, it's what was the word you used for something expectations? Subverting?
Playing subversion of expectations.
Subversion of expectations. Because when you hear that, you initially think, oh, they're going to be romantic. They're going to be partners fighting side by side, and or partners in love, and so on and so forth. And instead, he eats her. Like, because that's the only burial he can give her. Like, it's not just a I'm gonna eat you so we're together forever. No, she asked for it because the thing led to keeping her alive had been taken out of her body, and she was slowly withering away. And her time in this world was ending. So the best thing that Rimuru could do would be to consume her essence into himself to keep her with him.
Well, what about that bothered you? Was it just the fact that she was not there for very long?
Pretty much, yeah. Just because, like, I loved how much of a powerhouse, and as short the time was with her as a character, I really liked her. Like, with her adventuring with the adventuring trio that we found and growing the bond with them, the bond that she very quickly grew with Rimuru, and the fact that we lose her after like 4 or 5 episodes just left me like, which doesn't mean she's out of the show. There's episodes later, like flashback episodes, where we see Shizu on her journeys as a Majin, taking on quests and assassinations and everything. So she's not done in the show, but it just sucks that when we see her, she more or less is gone.
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I do agree that it sucks that it's kind of short-lived, at least with Rimuru and the nation and all that. But I feel like what they did do really sold you on the character and the interaction she has with Rimuru, and how they're bonding over the fact that they're both from another world, and even though the world that they're from is from like completely different eras. Like supposedly she was from like when the bombs were being dropped on like Nagasaki, for example. So like during during World War II, essentially.
Yeah, but I didn't.
And then on top, but then he's like from years and years later, and even though they're from the same country, but even though they're from different eras, they still share this bond, and they have this talk about how they have such. They just show that they have such a shared vision of like the world isn't all that bad, and the world that they're in now is giving them a second chance, because the way that they lived in the previous life just wasn't satisfying, or it was over too soon. And I feel like that's strong enough to carry that.
Okay, yeah, I have to give you that, and especially with how they picked up on it, that they were from another world. Because when Rimuru met her after everyone was relaxing, the trio were sitting like slouched back, relaxed, just like not a care in the world. But
sitting on their asses, actually.
But Shizu was sitting on her knees, like her legs tucked under her, and that's a traditional Japanese sitting. And then when Rimuru said, "I'm not such a bad slime slurp," she's the only one that laughed because she got it, that it was from a game that she heard from her friend.
Yeah.
So just like these two little tiny nods, but the fact that they're enough to let people know that they have that kind of special connection that not a lot of other people have. And then after that, diving into their connection deeper, when Shizu finally does die and tells Rimuru that she was a teacher at a school for people like her that were summoned to this world, not resurrected like he was, she wanted him to watch after those kids and make sure that they are strong enough to live on. And that's exactly what he does after spending some more time with his nation, making sure it can be left in capable hands for a while. He goes off to that school and does everything in his power to make sure those kids stay safe.
And in that, like, it's not only just it's not only fun to see Rimuru as a teacher, but it's also emotionally satisfying to see Rimuru live up to Shizu's legacy. And it not only shows that he greatly respected her, and he not only empathized and knew exactly what she was dealing with, or at least to a certain degree, being away from home entirely and being separated from their family. He's honoring that legacy and just showing his immense amount of respect for that person.
Yeah, that's kind of why I love Rimuru as a character. He's extremely empathetic to other people's causes.
Actually, can I start this topic? Because I actually want to talk about this, because I just want to jump off of this.
Okay, yeah, go for it. What's up?
So I was very confused when I first started watching this, because I noticed that there were a couple of things that kind of threw me off when I first started watching the show. So I asked you this question the other day when we were watching the show, and I was like, Rimuru should be super bland, right? Well, like I was saying that like he seems like a really bad protagonist just like on paper, but I was asking you like what do you think it is that makes him like an actually good character?
Like so likable.
Yeah.
I think
My first conclusion was like is it just the charisma of like the way that they're written? Is it the charisma of the actor? Like yeah, what do you think it is?
I think a lot of it does have to do with the world that he's in because he.
Well, I'm asking about like Rimuru as a character.
No, I know, but in order to do that, it has to also take into account his environment, like the kind of world that he's in.
Well, yeah, but in this case, are you talking about like before he becomes a slime or after?
No, after.
Okay.
Like,
well, now I gotta know where you're going with this.
So after he dies and becomes resurrected, he's more or less the same kind of character that he was before. Which, when we saw him in his original world, he was bland. He was just kind of a standard nobody and everything else. But it seemed like he was selfless and self-sacrificing because that's how he died in the first place. And he kept those ideals after he was resurrected and was brought into a world where it was commonplace that goblins were accepted to die for adventurers, and they were accepted as food as dire wolves. Slime was seen as the weakest monsters. Like, this world had a rule set, like things that were already set in stone. And Rimuru was there to show it doesn't have to be this way. There's another way to do all this. And so making the goblin, like, he could have gone the route of just making the goblins stronger and like just out of pure strength and massacring everyone. But he doesn't do that. He empathizes with everyone's cause. And so when it comes to the direwolves, for instance, they're attacking the goblins. All he does is take out the alpha and say, your leader's gone. Is this really the path that you decided you wanted to do? Or were you just following him? Like, he gives everyone options. So he empathizes with everyone's cause and makes everyone matter, and everyone has a voice. And I feel like that's why a lot of people love him so much. Like, in the world.
I see what you mean, but I'm trying to think, like, on a writing level, what exactly
on a writing
makes
level,
him
I have no idea. He should be one of the most blandest and, like, most forgettable characters, period. But I think it really does have to take into account the world that he's in and like what he's done there.
I think you're kind of right. So like maybe the thing that makes him so likable is the fact that I think it's also the fact that he's not a typical shonen protagonist, I should say. I know the show's not necessarily a shonen. I guess it could be, but I don't know. I don't know how that.
I don't know how that all rabbit hole happens anymore, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I usually assume like if it's a Shonen Jump manga, like if it's a boys manga or something, then that's what it would be like. I feel like this is just meant for anybody who can get it, who's like into JRPGs and fantasy.
Which might explain why I love it so much.
Yeah.
it was this show that and I was talking to you about this too. It was this show that cemented like, oh my god, I just looked at this. How many shows that I love are just straight up isekais?
Well, there's No Game No Life, for example.
No Game No Life, Resurrected as a Slime. I know there's more. I know there's more.
I'm sure you had like a couple more, but I can't think
of any off the top of my head, and I forgot to write them down.
But anyway, like I was saying, I think you're right that like the fact that he comes from a very different world, and it seems, I think that one of the things that is kind of helping Rimuru as a character is the fact that he comes from a place where socially the overall idea for the people socially is the concept of the bigger picture. So it kind of reinforces selflessness in a world where selfishness is probably more prominent. So I think that might be one of the big ingredients in there. And I think it's also just Brittany Karbowski's English, or the voice of Rimuru in English. She is such a good actress.
Hey, Jaden, guess who this is, actually?
He has no idea.
This is Black Star.
Don't you dare bring that back.
I'm only saying that Black Star is one of the most loved characters in Resurrected as a Slime because she's the main character.
Fair enough.
Not trying to start anything. I also think, what he does with that is his own business.
That's fair. I also think just the fact that Rimuru learns and adapts is probably the most admirable part.
Because he's not a like jump in and just push the problem until it's done. He spends his time analyzing.
He's not Naruto.
He spends his time.
He's not Naruto or Ichigo or Goku or what have you. Basically.
He spends his time analyzing and goes through like every possible kind of situation in order to plan the best possible outcome. Like
you know the phrase, you admire a character more for what they try, not necessarily what they've done. Yeah. So I think that applies a lot to regular shonen characters, but I think it applies even more so to Rimuru in the sense that like he tries so hard to just give everybody he meets a chance. So he kind of has like, I'll give this person the benefit of the doubt with pretty much everybody he meets.
Actually, speaking of that, when the Orc King shows up, like the whole army march.
Yeah, that's such a good. Yeah, go ahead.
There's an invading army coming in about numerous kingdoms. They're mowing down. The orcs get stronger if one of them drops dead, and the rest of them eat the body and gain that power and strength. So the fewer they are, the stronger they are, and that is a concept I fucking adored. But when it came time for Rimuru to join the fight, all of his other subjects were down in the fight, and he was floating above it, keeping an eye on the situation, analyzing and taking in all of the information he could on the orcs, and seeing that if one of them was killed or died, that all the rest of them got stronger. And he was even giving the Orc King a chance to come to terms with this and to survive. But when that went awry, Rimuru was not one to just take that lying down and did just straight up do everything in his power to kill him and stop the fighting. So it wasn't like he does try to talk it out if he can, but unlike a lot of shonen protagonists, that's not all he does. He does, if he does see that talking is not going to work, he does fight and get the job done. Like one of the final lines he actually says to the Orc King is, "I'm sorry, but you lost to me. You're going to die now." Like he doesn't say admit defeat and I'll stop. He says, "I'm going to finish this." And that is something that I just adore about Rimuru.
Now that you bring that up, I think the biggest thing is that Rimuru learns, and that he's a smart character. And I think people just miss the idea, or just like the idea of a character who learns and keeps getting better. And I noticed something else. So like, if you guys haven't gotten to season 2, or at least this point of season 2, there's a point where the nation of Tempest is about to be attacked, and Rimuru's not there, and they're cutting off communication to him. That kind of reminds me of what they did in Hellsing, where they separated Alucard from England and the rest of the Hellsing
when
organization.
He was fighting on the barge.
Yeah. And this comes back to a concept that Takahata, the guy who wrote the abridged version and is part of TFS, He said, when you have a character who is basically a trump card, you have to remove them from the main, or the scenario, the main story, in order for some kind of stakes to actually grow.
Which actually tracks a lot, because One Punch does the same thing. Like at the end of season 1, where the alien overlord, like Frieza motherfucker, attacks, and Saitama is nowhere around, and every hero is fighting tooth and nail to do everything about it. And Saitama doesn't show up until it's just about too late. Like it is,
and like I said, like you have to rate if you want the stakes to be high, and you want there to be like at least the illusion of consequences to be visible to the audience, you have to remove a character who is basically the you basically have to remove the spirit bomb, essentially. is what it is literally what it is. And when you have a character that's that powerful and you have to remove them, and that's what builds up the stakes, the fact that you can come up with like 2 other examples of that is I don't know exactly how to explain what I mean there, but
it is
just the fact that I made that connection is interesting to me as well.
I mean, it is a trope, but it's a trope that I don't really mind because.
Well, I think it's a trope that should. I'm not necessarily saying it should happen more often, but I like seeing it more, and it's more interesting seeing the side characters have to deal with something without literally the super gun that wins everything.
Actually,
basically.
They did that in Naruto too for the war. Like, I mean, the circumstance
when Naruto was separated.
Yeah, I mean, the circumstance was different.
Oh, okay.
Because they kept Naruto. They kept Naruto away from the war, so they wouldn't get the nine-tailed fox. But Naruto's also the biggest fucking trump card because it's Naruto. So I mean, it's kind of the same
that's
thing.
A little different. That's a little different because like Naruto is not the winner card necessarily, or at the very least they don't show him that or they don't show him as being as all powerful as they don't show him being as all powerful as you might think he is.
In the war.
The whole point of shonen is like for a character to overcome odds and obstacles, and by doing that you have to show that the enemy is powerful, that it's taking down all these other powerful characters, and then you have your shonen protagonist who almost falls, and just on the brink of death they come back and they win, and then things are fine again after they beat the bad guy.
And
so it is similar, but the idea is more so that the super powerful character has to be taken out of the situation, or at least unreachable, in order for stakes to be as high as they are.
Okay.
But I do see the connection. I completely get what you mean though.
Okay. And like I said, it's a trope. It's a trope I don't really mind seeing because I do love the main hero being pushed away from the fight. Like when he joins the fight, you're sure it's gonna turn out fine in the end. The hero's gonna win, so on and so forth. I'm not really the kind of guy that gets bent out of shape about that. I'm like, yes, I want the hero to win. I'm watching this for the hero. I very rarely vote for the villain. Like, just because I know the hero is going to win doesn't mean I know how the hero is going to win.
Well, that's the other thing. It's also good for build-up. Like, when that character comes back, like when Alucard comes back in Hellsing Ultimate, it's the coolest fucking thing. Because you've had the buildup of, like, Alucard's not here, we have to deal with things without him, and then once he gets here, you're like, aw, shit, stuff's about to go down.
Because he's going to wreck everything. And
yeah, exactly.
And for where...
It's kind of the same with Rimuru.
And for where we are right now in Season 2, we left at the buildup, so everything is about to go down in Tempest right now. Rimuru's cut off communications, doesn't know anything that's going on. He's at the school. I can only imagine the pure, unadulterated fury that Rimuru's going to have if he sees all of this happening.
Especially if he sees that his friends have been
killed
defeated.
Or hurt in any way.
I'm sure they're not going to die.
Well,
but
no,
still.
I know big time characters aren't going to hurt, but like say like NPC characters like goblins or like background characters and stuff like that. Like there's going to be some death because this is a kingdom attack. And the fact that his kingdom is being attacked, the kingdom that he's been establishing this whole time as a friendly community, like everyone is welcome, that kind of thing. And to see it under attack, I can only imagine what he's going to do.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, I think we should start wrapping up around here.
Yeah, I think it's about time to do that. Do you got any closing thoughts? Things you want to discuss before we call it?
I don't really have any big topics to discuss, but closing thoughts on it. How that time I was resurrected as a slime, even though I've come into it this freaking late, it took me this long to find and this long to watch. I love it. It is one of my top 10 animes of all time, period. When we started watching it, I already have all the seasons on DVD that are available. I have a Shion statue. I have a Rimuru plush pillow. I love this fucking show. and I'm so happy that we get a season 3 and a movie. And again, Kyo, thank you for showing me this one in the first place, because it's one of my favorites, period.
I heard a lot of good stuff about it. On top of that, I was also in the hospital when I first started watching it. This is when I was sick with COVID last year around, or no, was it 2020?
It was 2022, I think, or 2020, I think.
I thought it was 2020. Oh, yeah, it was.
2020.
It was, yeah. It was like late 2020. I was October. I was really sick. I had pneumonia on top of COVID. And I had nothing but time on my hands. I was in the hospital for like a week and a half. And one of the things I decided to do was start watching Reincarnated as a Slime. And to my surprise, it was really uplifting. It was really nice. I especially needed it because it was such a feel-good series when I was in such a bad place. I wasn't, at the point that I started watching it, I was at a point where the doctors are telling me, you're going to be okay. We just need to keep you here for a little while. And I was feeling really homesick. I missed home. I missed Austin. Austin was homesick without me. All my friends and family were worried about me, and I couldn't draw because my tablet was at home, and I didn't think of asking for my sketchbook, and I didn't want to inconvenience anybody. But I had my phone and my tablet, or not my drawing tablet, sorry. I had my TV tablet, and I just started watching, and it really lifted my spirits.
And when I was sick, I started watching Goblin Slayer.
No, you did
That
not.
would be a bad idea.
If you were sick while watching Goblin Slayer, I guarantee you probably wouldn't have gotten better.
No, I spent that entire time watching Futurama, something I know is uplifting and funny.
Remember. I got home and Austin was just like, hey.
I was still on my bed. I think I was on
such a dead man.
Still on my bed. I think at that point I was on the Futurama movies.
That's like season 6 where it's just a bunch of films,
yeah.
Right? Okay. But yeah, that's I think that's all we had to say about Reincarnated as a Slime and what it means to us and how we feel about it. So
I do hope to do another part on this, whether it is here or on PonsuCast, where
about season 2.
About season 2, and on PonsuCast there is like a possibility for us to do waifus and Resurrect as a Slime, because there's quite a few waifus. My heart still pounds for Shion. That's all I'm gonna say. I
can't say that you're wrong, my friend. I can't say that you're wrong.
All right, but those are all topics for another day, guys. When we get through season 2, hopefully we'll do an episode on that, and when season 3 in the movie comes, hopefully we'll do that as well. So until then, guys, I guess this has been another episode. Or wait, no, we have the closing thoughts. And yeah, Kyo, where are people finding you?
I'm at GoProKyo on Twitter and Newgrounds and Facebook. No, I'm under Church Christensen on Facebook. If you guys want to follow my Facebook page,
beautiful.
You can. You don't have to. I also have a website. I want money. Please.
That's his backhanded way of telling you to pay him and watch him and love him.
Please, I can't live on cabbages forever.
But our beautiful avatars here on the episode are provided by GoProKyo, so you guys have a taste of his art style.
Well, thank you.
So just go ahead, find him on everywhere that he just listed. Find his commissions, his super affordable rates. Obviously, he's my best friend. You guys just go ahead, check him out. Commission him, pay him so we can get McDonald's. And you guys can find me, Hotshot Ginger, right here on Giant Music's channel and wherever his podcasts are heard, wherever you are. Hi, guys. You guys can find me over on my channel, Hotshot Ginger on YouTube, where we do PonsuCast, the one that we've brought up a couple times here, where we do the dark and underbelly of anime, basically waifus and not appropriate for little ones. You guys can also find me over on Twitter at Hotshot Ginger, while I do nothing but ghost you. And I have been having a bit of an identity crisis on Twitch. I do plan to return and I do plan to stream, but right now I'm just trying to find out what kind of motif I want to go for and everything else. I do pop on every now and again with our friend Yuki, if you guys remember her. A couple months ago now, I did a collab with her where we spent like a half hour going around finding new Pokemon and challenging each other to a battle, and hilarity ensued. So if the VOD's still on her channel, go ahead, check her out. It's under Key Sky Snow on Twitch. And with all that said, guys, this has been another episode of
Animal Podcasters.
Bye, guys.
Bye.